Hey everybody, welcome to Geekoholics Anonymous episode 161. I'm your host Rico, here with my co-host,
the mouseless Dane Cody.
Mr. Mouseless Dane Cody.
I shouldn't say mouseless. I'm not mouseless. I'm mouse scroll wheelless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm ratless.
No, you're not.
I'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
But welcome everyone. If you've never been here before, we get together once a week, talk about video games, TV, movies, and or whatever the hell we like. And again, this week, it's going to be a lot of E3.
This is like our E3 Extravaganza.
Part 2. Two. Yeah, we glossed over the press conferences last week, and I talked about Cyberpunk 2077 in our little mini cast, which wasn't so mini. It was like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, it got a little longer than I think we anticipated initially,
but I have like a list of 25 plus things that I played, and there's stuff missing that I have to go back and update. And I don't know if I'm going to talk about this whole list today. We'll see how far we get, because there's a lot of stuff. Because I played
a fairly big list.
Played a lot of games. Yeah, I played everything in this list I played. The only thing I didn't play that I wrote down on the list was Cyberpunk. And that nobody played that. Well, the devs played it in front of everyone. And made us all drool and cry. And I still can't stop thinking about that fucking game.
There's weeping and gnashing of teeth, and everybody was, it looks amazing.
Did you know I just read a story and realized that Hideo Kojima was in the same demo as me?
And you didn't even get to say hi?
And I didn't notice at all.
Wow.
I know. It was a kind of dark room and a little crammed. And I think he was in the back, and it explains some of the rushing around by some of the people that were in the booth.
Dude, it was fucking Hideo Kojima, and you missed out.
I know. I'm so pissed off, because I just finished reading a story on Kotaku. Was it Kotaku, or was it Polygon? No, maybe it was Polygon.
Okay.
And the person who wrote that story was also in the same appointment, because they said it was the last appointment. And I saw a tweet of Hideo and one of the game devs was like just after the demo had ended.
Right.
So I'm like, that had to have been the exact same appointment I was in, because that was the last one of the show. And that's what this guy was claiming he was in. And I'm like, I was there. Like, God damn it. I literally almost crossed paths with him so many times. So annoying.
That's awesome.
I probably would have. He had an entourage, so I don't know if I would have been able to get close to him and take a selfie. But
I don't know about a selfie. I do know.
He was doing selfies with people, but I think at this point, this story was about how he kind of got.
Janina posted that she saw him there, and it was like the one time she fangirled out.
Yeah. Well, apparently, like the story was all about after the demo. Like it was up in the meeting room areas, and there was just a little bit of a crowd that had formed and kind of was making things very uncomfortable.
Oh, I see.
And he kind of had to rush away.
That's awkward.
Yeah. Man.
That's what happens when you're, famous. Go to this kind of stuff.
So, I don't know. I didn't really talk about any of my stories from E3.
Oh, boy.
Last week. I had a lot of crazy shit happen. Everyone knows I went to the press conference for Sony. I did talk about that last week. I was going to go to the Ubisoft one, but I missed it because of my stupid flight and LA traffic, which kind of screwed me. But I was going to go back through my photos and remember some of the stuff. Actually, the first night at that Sony press conference, did I talk about who I was hanging out with after?
I believe so.
Okay, I can't remember. I was hanging out with the cheap-ass gamer guys like Cheapy D and Shipwreck and Thorbon.
Yes, we talked about that.
Okay, and then I ran into the What's Good games. The girls.
Yep.
The girls, the ladies, chatted with them for a little while.
Those guys are great.
I ran into Jeff Kanata as well.
Also great.
I saw Shuhei, but he was eating in the corner, and I didn't want to be that guy who was interrupting him, because it kind of looked like he was just off to the side having some downtime, which probably is mauled by everyone.
Right.
And I could have gone up to him, but I'm just like, you know what? It looks like he's over there for a reason. He just wants to have a snack and probably relax a little bit.
You didn't do like the walk by, like shoo hey and point, and, like,
no,
and then walk away.
Like it wasn't that far. He was literally like 15 feet away from me.
Right,
but it just kind of seemed like he was just in the corner a little bit, having a hot dog, just taking a little breather. So I was like, I'll leave the man be.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's got a lot of shit on his plate. He doesn't need some asshole run up to him going, "Hey, Shuey, how's your hot dog?" Like, I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I just left him. But yeah, that was a lot of fun hanging out with those guys, like chatting with them, BSing about, I don't know, where they're from, traffic, real estate, stuff that really matters. Getting to the bottom of this, the big questions,
Stuff
that we just witnessed at the press conference, and like what happened, what was that? A little bit of shock. And what else did we talk about? Oh yeah, all of us were talking about kids as well.
Oh,
less time for playing games, or more times, or Cheapy and his one and done. How he only has one kid. Ship has two, makes things a little harder for him. Stuff like that. Fun adulting stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway. So that was that. The next day, whatever, we watched the Nintendo Direct outside of like the JW Marriott on the patio of one of the restaurants there on their Wi-Fi on my laptop.
Oh, ballers.
We're getting ready for the show floor, and I think I went over it last week how we had 3 hours early access as industry and media. So the gamers weren't in until like 3 hours later for the first 2 days.
Right.
And actually, before the show even opened, Joel and I had been interviewed by IGN. One of the IGN girls was doing like a little before the gate doors open kind of interview.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I could find that. I have no idea. But she was asking us about Last of Us and Smash Brothers.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I don't know.
So you may be on IGN somewhere? Maybe.
Yeah, I might be on that opening day access feed.
Interesting.
And so what happened on day one that was really cool? Trying to think. Nothing too crazy. I think my celebrity run-ins were more the second day. Yeah, it was the second day. I ran into Corey Barlog and Danielle Bischetti.
Yeah,
Buschetti?
She plays Freya.
Yeah, she's the actress who plays Freya. That was pretty...
And for anybody who doesn't know, Corey Barlog is the executive director of God of War.
Yeah, and that was rad. Like, we were hanging out with them, chatting for like a good, I don't know, 20 minutes? And seriously, like, Corey was like, there was no one around. It was just like, we were in the middle of the main entrance of the West Hall.
Yep.
Which was kind of crazy. And we were just chatting, and seriously, he was like not in any hurry to leave.
That's cool.
And it was like, I kind of...
That or he totally was and you just didn't notice it.
What's that?
I said that or he totally was and you just didn't notice it.
No. I was like, we were talking about God of War, and then we started talking about some other stuff, and I asked him if he'd be on the podcast, and he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, I'll follow you on Twitter. I'm like, okay, best day ever. So he now follows me on Twitter.
Oh, follows you.
Yeah, I already followed him, so now he follows me on Twitter.
That's pretty cool.
And anyway, I was like, I gotta go. We gotta go to the Sony appointment. So we anyway. That was
a big deal.
That was a really cool freaking experience. He is so humble and genuine and awesome.
I'm a big fan of Corey. He's a cool dude.
I'm pretty happy for his success and that studio success. And when I was telling him how much I loved the game, it was like, you and the team, and he understands he's not the only one behind it, right?
Oh, like, absolutely.
And he's like I said, he's super humble and nice, and that was awesome. And she was wicked as well. She was telling me about a new Netflix series that she's in that's coming out in January.
Oh, cool.
I'm Let me find the name. She said it's pretty cool. She plays a witch in it.
Oh, interesting.
As well. And that was my phone making a lot of noise here because apparently it's not on silent.
So
Dwight and the Shining Armor.
Oh, I heard about this.
Apparently it's about some kid who gets transported back or in time or transported to a different dimension. It's like magic and stuff.
Yeah.
She plays a witch in it and she's like, it's going to be really cool.
That's awesome.
That comes out in January. That was pretty rad. That night, after E3 had finished, I think we had the Microsoft party that night. Or was that the next night? One night we had an after hours at the Microsoft Theater, which was basically their booth, but only open to international media.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was kind of cool. I didn't like it as much as the setup when they actually had a booth on the show floor, because it was multiple floors in the theater.
Right.
Because I think, from what I heard, Xbox Fan Fest took place in the theater proper. And that was like Saturday, Sunday, I think, or Sunday, Monday. And then on Tuesday, they moved all those units and demos into like the lobby foyer area of the theater, which was split between 2 floors.
Okay.
Which was fine.
Right.
But I didn't like it as much as like the big booth space. You could see everything. Stuff was hidden around corners. Whatever. No one was in there. It was 3 hours. I got to play all the Xbox stuff. So, and that's where I played a couple indie games that I forgot to write down the names.
Okay.
To put on the list. What were you going to say?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Sony booth, and then you were like, and that's where I got to play all the Xbox stuff.
Yeah, no, it was at the Microsoft Theater because they were off.
Okay, that makes more sense.
They were in their own venue across from the convention hall.
Right.
And, anyway, that was pretty cool. We unfortunately did not get invites to the Fortnite party, which was apparently off the hook. But I did, the next night after the show closed, we went to something called Frankensons.
Okay.
Apparently it's pretty well known. What is it? Frankensons.
Never heard of it, so.
It's like a swap meet. Frankensons collectible show. It's open twice a week. It's in LA.
Interesting.
It's in a warehouse. And it's all like individual sellers and booths. It's kind of like sports memorabilia. It's got a whole Magic the Gathering area. It's got a sports memorabilia area. It's got Funkos, any toy / collectible you can imagine is there. And it's like it's like hundreds of little mini booths. It's like a forever toy fair. Or like a Comic-Con, cool. But like without big commercialized booths. It's all individual sellers.
Huh.
And it's open like twice a week. We were there for cool. It was insane. I took a bunch of videos and some photos, which I'm going to post at some point here.
Right.
But it's great. It is like sensory overload. It is insane. I could have spent all day there. They had every and any Transformer that you could possibly want. Not all in one booth across, because everyone has their own little collections,
stuff
right?
Like that. Right.
Some guys are like original G1 stuff. Some guys are all third-party stuff. Some guys are just the current stuff. Some guys are all kinds of random mishmash of everything. There's retro game booths. There's guys with like Genesis, Super Nintendo, whatever you imagine. There's current stuff. It's crazy. It's like a geek fantasy.
That seems pretty cool.
It's like Toy Traders.
Yep.
But minus all the dress up.
Right.
Like there's no like fancy booths and attractions and like crazy memorabilia and stuff like an amusement park like Toy Traders is.
Yeah.
But imagine something 10 times the size of Toy Traders with 10 times the density of toys, comics, collectibles of every type you could imagine.
It sounds like a place that I need to hide my wallet from.
That's what I said. Like, luckily we were there. We got there late because it was like, it's a decent drive from downtown LA.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know exactly where it is. If you look Frankensons collectible show, you'll find the information. It shows up. I found it right away. Where it is when it runs. It was mind blowing. I literally was like, I was just paralyzed. They did have some of the stuff I was looking for, but the guys, like,
I imagine it's probably pretty expensive too.
No, actually, it wasn't bad. I was looking for more current Transformers to finish off the Dinobot combiner.
Oh,
the second wave isn't quite out yet here, but some of those guys had parts of the second wave. But of course, the Dinobots are all sold out at all the different booths that did have them. They had some of the what are they called? The team that makes up Abominus or Menasor or whatever. I can't remember what they're called.
Oh man, you're making me dive deep into my brain.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, they that place is unreal. If you're in LA, and I think it's Wednesdays and Saturdays, parking is freaking terrible. It's a disaster. It's in an industrial area in a undisclosed warehouse. It is like the worst publicized and in worst location of like this. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like,
but that's probably why they can do it, and why they're able to, though, is because of all that.
It must be cheap real estate, and it's only open twice a week. So,
and if they did it all the time, it just wouldn't quite have the same luster. And
the booths are permanently set up.
Oh, interesting.
Like, the guys lock their booths up with like metal gating and stuff, so no one takes their booths down. Right. I imagine a lot of the people who operate there must have a big online component to a lot of their selling and trading. But it's just mind blowing. Like, I can't get over. Like, I literally was just in awe the whole time and sensory overload, because I'm like, video games, Transformers. I don't know. I want it all. I don't want any of it.
Right.
I don't have enough money. I only came with carry-on, so I can't take any of this home.
Right. Because none of this is going to fit in my carry-on.
Yeah. So it was really cool. That was a huge highlight of the trip. And Joel told me about it last year.
Right, but you didn't have time to go to it?
No, we didn't. It didn't work out, and we didn't know where it was. And
right.
And he was like, trust me, it's really cool. And it's like, hey, I trust you. And then we just went there one day, and it's like, hey, yeah, that's pretty freaking rad.
Wow.
Of course, on the last day, I met Anderson Silva.
Right.
I posted some photos of that UFC fighter extraordinaire, which was kind of funny. We were at our Ubisoft appointment, which was in the meeting rooms, which was so nice. I don't know if I talked about Ubisoft last year, but their meeting rooms are like crammed in under their big stage.
Oh, that's cool.
Not really. It was really hot and crampy. There were so many people in there. Anyway, in the meeting rooms, it was actually freezing upstairs. So it's like, there was lots of room. They had a bunch of meeting rooms with all their demos and stuff. And you just went from one area to another, depending on what your times were. We were literally there for like 4 hours. And we were doing our
sounds
Starlink.
like a Ubisoft appointment.
Yeah, and we were doing our Starlink demo. And then it's just like, everyone's freaking out in the area vicinity. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. And there's this big guy, and it's like, he looks familiar. Oh, whatever. It's like, wait a second. Like, everyone's like freaking out. And it's just like, who is that guy? I'm like, I recognize him, but I can't put it together. And like, he even had his MMA. He had his t-shirt on. I guess it's his clothing line, and his hat, and it's got like a fighter on it. And it's like, hey. And then someone's like, that's Anderson Silva. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, holy crap, it is. But he's like wearing glasses and a hat, so it kind of throws you off a bit.
Yep, totally.
And yeah, anyway, he was super excited for the Star Fox.
Really?
Yeah, the R-Winger. Is it R-Wing? Is that what they call it?
That sounds right.
In Starlink. And he's like, oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so cool. In his accent, like, it was pretty funny. And I was like, hey, brasileira. And he's like, oh, you speak Portuguese? And I'm like, no, yes, sort of. and I'm like, good luck in the World Cup. He's like, oh, so excited. And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait. Portugal plays tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, good luck. And he's like, it's going to be a fun tournament. And so we chatted for a bit, and then I took a photo with him. But a lot of people there were just freaking out, and I don't know, but nobody was talking to him. So I was like, I just went up to him and started talking to him.
That's funny.
And he was super cool, and he just had like this shit-eating grin smile on his face.
That's
I
awesome.
guess when you're super famous, like, and rich, like, I'd be fucking smiling too, I guess. But yeah, when we ran into him again at the Cyberpunk demo, I think he was just going around walking into stuff. He's like, I want to see this. And they would obviously let
people
him
are
in,
just like, oh, cool, sure.
Of course, you've got, I don't know, 9 million or something followers on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. That was on our last day. In the morning, and that afternoon I ran into the Kind of Funny guys.
Hell yeah.
They were doing well, I really only talked to Greg. They were doing like a stage thing on the GameSpot stage, and we were talking about the Fortnite freaking dilemma.
People that go to E3 and then stand in line to play Fortnite? What?
No, just the whole account thing.
Oh.
We'll talk about that, I guess. But anyway, I ran into also that same day. I think it's Jordan Voight Roberts. Is that his name?
I don't know, man.
The director of Kong Skull Island.
Oh, okay.
Who's working on the Metal Gear movie?
Supposedly.
No, he is. He was there with Kojima. They did another panel.
Oh, interesting.
Have you seen Kong Skull Island?
Yeah, no, I've seen like the talks, and I've seen that it may or may not be happening, and like, I don't know. I'm so. I mean, the fact that it's so weird to me because like Kojima doesn't own the Metal Gear Solid name. That's Konami. So like, I'm happy that he's obviously talking to Kojima and like, and that's a thing. But there's this part of me that wonders, like, is this actually going to happen? Because, like, Konami's the one that has to say, like, yay to this idea, and they have to, like, license it, blah, blah, blah. Unless a while ago, obviously, somebody must have bought the rights to make the film, I guess, and they're getting Kojima involved. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's this part of me that thinks, like, if there was a franchise that Metal Gear Solid has the potential to be fucking amazing or the worst goddamn movie they've ever made, and like it will destroy like comic book or video game movies forever. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's either going to be one or the other. It's not going to be in between. I don't think that we're going to get a Hitman side like that's, well, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's either going to be, wow, that was great, or that's fucking dog shit. I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude. I chatted with him for a while.
That's cool, man.
And then also that same day, we ran into, I didn't take a selfie with him, and I don't know why I didn't, because I was talking to him for a while. Was Brian Deckert, the actor who plays Connor in Detroit, who does the motion capture and the voice acting and the acting
right
for Connor in Detroit, which was funny because you probably saw the photo on Twitter or Instagram. He was cosplaying as himself as Connor.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
See that.
Which is awesome because he looks it's him, right? So it's so cool to see him in that outfit. And he was saying he stole that. It was a prop. And he's like,
right.
Yeah, you're not getting this back. That was pretty
Fair
cool.
enough.
There was a lot of really neat chance run-ins with people during this show. And of course, I made a lot of new connections with devs and publishers, which was really good. And that's a big part of the show.
Yeah,
going
absolutely.
to people that I'd never, hey, I'm not on your PR list. I don't talk to you guys at all. Like, let's
part of that is the fact that we're in Canada.
Yeah,
part of that is the fact that we should talk.
Which is really cool because that led to me getting to see Bloodstained Ritual of the Night
Hey, very cool.
Because I was up in the meeting rooms. So you got the 2 halls, which is where not too many meetings happen down there. Nintendo and Sony have their own media areas, like off to the side of their booths, which have all the really cool stuff that no one gets to play.
Oh, of course. Unless you're really, really cool.
Yeah, except for you're really cool, or you tricked them into thinking you're cool. And that's where a lot of the demos that, people don't get to play are, or the backdoor stuff. But besides Nintendo and Sony, I think most people have their appointments, not most, but a lot of them have them in the meeting rooms above and around the convention center. So it's like a whole other floor. And it's just nondescript rooms. If you poke your head, you might, there's Activision, there's Destiny, and, there's Ubisoft over there. And, 505 Games. I'm like, I don't have any contact with them. I don't even know where to start with them, but they're doing a bunch of games. So I just walked up to the desk they had there, and they're like, "Oh, you're here for your appointment?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have an appointment, but
I'd love to make a media contact. Here's my card.
I just want to be added to your list." And like, "Oh, well, do you want to see anything?"
We should be friends.
Yeah, they just were like, "Do you want to see anything?" And I'm like,
Of course I want to see some stuff.
I wouldn't mind to see Bloodstained if that's possible, but I don't expect you to do that. I just showed up unannounced to say hi.
That's so weird. I swear I have an email for 505. But anyways.
And they're like, "No, we have some time. Here, just can you wait 15 minutes?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Done.
Okay. Meanwhile,
so how was Bloodstained?
We snuck into an hour demo of that, which was wicked. And is it who does Castlevania? What's his name with the hat? Who's doing Bloodstained?
I know Igarashi.
Is that it? He was just there, sitting there outside of the demo room, and it's like, oh my god, you make my favorite franchise ever.
I'm trying to remember. Wasn't the first one he did Symphony of the Night?
Yeah. I'm trying to look it up right now.
And then he did all the DS ones.
Yes.
Well, not all of them. He did a bunch of the DS ones.
He did at least half of them.
All the good ones, he was the one that did.
Yeah, Koji Igarashi.
Ha!
He's the writer.
Face.
He's the writer. And yeah, he's involved with Bloodstained.
Yeah.
He was just sitting there, and I'm like, oh man, I should take a photo with him. But I'm like, he doesn't speak English, and there's no one sitting with him, so this would maybe...
He probably speaks a little bit of English.
I'm like, this might be really weird and awkward. And also,
he probably understands a little bit more than you think he does.
And then I'm like, and I also kind of just snuck in here, so do I want to be that guy that is the unannounced guy with a random appointment all of a sudden pestering the game writer?
Yeah.
So he was there. I saw him. I'm like, I geeked out, but didn't do anything about it. And I feel bad. Which is weird because it's like,
I know what you mean.
I have no problem talking to some people, and then others I'm like scared to. It's just, I had no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. Also, like, sometimes you're like, okay, I don't want to, like, the situation doesn't seem like it's proper to, like, introduce yourself and have a chat either. Like, sometimes it's just, I know what you mean.
And then I, just other podcasting people I ran into, Abby from the Beescast. And,
awesome. Love Abby. She's awesome.
Ben and
I hear he's real tall.
Is it Jan or Jerome? What's his name? The new guy
Jan.
On the Bombcast as well.
Yep. He's there, like, new video guy.
Yeah, there was like all kinds of random run-ins like that the whole show. It was ridiculous. I don't know how this happens. Like if
it's almost like you're at a show with them.
It is, but it's like to be honest, from the outset, if I wasn't at this E3, I probably would have been like, that was an E3. I'm not too upset that I met it or missed it because there was a lot of known quantities. It was a lot of carryover from last year, actually playable this year.
Right.
So then I was like, but being there and all the little stuff that happened, all the people I ran into, made it like one of the best shows I've been to. And it's just like, I just literally feel like I sometimes have a horseshoe up my ass for really cool shit to happen.
Well,
and a lot of luck. So I had a blast. It was an awesome show, like being there on the ground, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I guess with that, we can move into what you've been playing, and then I'll talk about a bunch of stuff that I had played at E3.
Okay.
Does that sound like a good idea? We'll do kind of a normal, semi-normal podcast.
Sure. I'm down for whatever.
Except for I gotta find the outline.
Good job.
And this totally ties into E3. So, what I've been playing, that is and isn't E3 related, was the Hollow Knight was announced during the Nintendo Direct.
Oh yeah.
So I promptly downloaded it that day, like immediately.
Of course.
Because I've been chomping at the bit to play it, and I own it on PC. I think I own it, or maybe I never ended up buying it. No, maybe I just didn't pull the trigger because I'm like, it's going to be coming out on Switch soon. So anyway, I bought it on Switch, and that was like my play on the way home, and I'm still playing it now.
Oh, nice.
Metroid
How's the Switch port?
Seems perfectly fine. Looks fantastic. Plays awesomely. It's 2D. It looks like hand drawn graphics, at least for the characters and stuff. It's dark. I don't know. People say it's the Dark Souls of Castlevania games or Metroidvania games. I don't know if I would say that, but it is hard.
Yeah,
but it's not that hard. It actually, because it has a mechanic where you can heal yourself as you hit enemies. You collect soul power, which charges up this little meter on your screen there.
Okay.
And right now I have one spell that uses soul power, and or you can hold down your A button, and then your little guy, can't remember his name, he kind of charges up, and you can refill like one of your hearts per se, or life bubbles.
Okay. Little alien looking things.
Yeah, as you get hit, you lose, a hit point. I don't know what they call it.
All right.
But yeah, you play as a little nameless knight. He kind of looks like a little bug with these little antenna on his head. Most of the enemies and stuff in this game are like kind of buggy type creatures. And you're exploring this dungeon or underground kingdom.
Right.
It's called Hallow Nest. And it's below a little town where, like, when you first get there, there's no one there. There's one guy sitting there, and he speaks quite cryptically to you about how everyone went away and, how things have gone downhill or changed or whatever. He's always saying very cryptic, weird stuff. And you delve below the city.
Right.
And at first, you only have a jump, and you have your attack with your little sword. They call it a nail.
Okay.
But it's like a little sword, which has a short distance attack, and then eventually you get spells for some range and different abilities. I just fought a boss and got like an air dash ability, which will make me able to get into a lot of other spaces.
Right.
It seems like a pretty damn big game because I was looking at the map, and I'm literally, I swear to God, I've done like 3 areas, but looking at a map online, because I was just like, I just want to kind of see how big it was.
Right.
Generally, I'm like, wow, this seems like maybe a 10th of the area of the game.
That's, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's very brooding, very moody kind of atmosphere. There's some other abilities. You get these little stones, which are like a currency. And it's kind of like Dark Souls. If you die, you have a chance to go back and defeat your little... Actually, you don't collect your soul. This little evil shadow version of you appears, which you have to defeat, and then you can get your currency back.
Oh,
They call it Geo. They're like these little stones. They're like little shells. So it's not like you're not collecting souls to spend. The soul energy is what you use for your spells and for, like, refilling your life. And you get these different What are they called?
I don't know.
I know. I'm trying to think what they're called.
You're supposed to tell me what they're called.
I know.
Come on, man.
It's just plain. You equip your abilities. Like right now, you can equip an ability to see yourself on the map.
Okay.
And it costs so many spaces to equip. So right now, I only have 2 things. I have something that gives me more soul energy from hitting enemies. So as you hit enemies, you collect more soul energy, which you can use for your ranged attack or for healing yourself.
Right, okay.
I have another one that I can equip now, but I would have to take off one of the other ones, which kind of puts me in a hard shell and makes me invulnerable until I run out of soul energy.
Oh, okay.
I just unlocked that. I haven't used it yet. And looking in the menu, there's 20 or 30 different ones that appear that you can collect.
Wow.
And they're like modifiers, obviously. Obviously that change little gameplay elements that they're not necessarily they're abilities but not abilities. I don't know how to explain it. I guess they kind of augment your playstyle, right? Like if you want more defense, I can use that new one that I got that gives me like the hard shell that you ball up and then you don't take damage to be more defensive.
So it's like defensive and stuff.
Or like the one I'm currently using gives you more soul power, so it can help you be more aggressive with being able to cast your spell more often and or just have the insurance of healing yourself, because if you're collecting more soul energy, it's also pretty easy to heal yourself as well. You are super vulnerable if you're trying to heal yourself, so it's kind of hard to do when you're fighting enemies.
I can see how that would be awkward.
There have been a couple big bosses that I've fought already, which are, very patterny. But they're totally fair. They're totally fair. Like you watch their pattern. Stuff. Yeah, you watch their pattern and learn it, and it's, I don't know, I feel like you could actually, if you played enough or paid enough attention, you could defeat them without getting hit. Is quite possible. It wouldn't be like a fluke thing. It would be totally skill, right?
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's
where it's kind of similar, and it's nothing like Dark Souls, but it's kind of like Dark Souls. It's like if you get into trouble, it's your own fault, right? Because you can, for the most part, run away from a bad situation, get some soul energy, and like heal yourself. So it's your fault if you get in above your
above your head, sort of
over your head, yeah.
And
it looks great. It's 2D.
Yeah, the art style's really interesting.
It's
really
really
looking
neat.
at screenshots.
It kind of looks, honestly, the enemies kind of remind me in the hand-drawn art style. It reminds me of Cuphead a bit. It's like, it's that well animated, except for it just doesn't have that like TV filtery, weird, old-timey cartoon filter on top of it. Because it's just super vivid.
Right.
But it is definitely the characters are cartoony and the backgrounds are like super like painter-esque, like, what is it? Like, the guy that does the Aliens artwork. Geiger? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I was going to say Geiger.
Yeah, it's like that really, really detailed, crazy backgrounds.
I definitely don't get a Geiger vibe from that. I'm like
some of the areas,
right now.
Not the characters, like the backgrounds.
Interesting.
And the buildings, because they're very organic. Because everything's like bugs and shells and stuff.
Huh.
I don't know. It's kind of like...
But is anything real phallic style, like...
Maybe in some of the other areas I haven't been yet. I've literally just scratched the surface of this game. I'm really liking it. I'm super happy.
That's
I just
awesome,
got the dash. I assume there'll be a double jump and a wall jump and a bunch of other stuff. So
that it finally came out to console. So
yeah, it's an awesome
addition.
I don't know. This kind of game is like 30 FPS, 60 FPS. When it comes to 2D, it's not as noticeable as a 3D game. So it plays super smooth. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. And honestly, I feel like it's perfectly at home on the Switch. And I'm very happy I'm playing on the Switch, more so than if I was playing it on my PC.
Fair enough.
I could take it with me.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think it's pretty rad. And I'm super early. I think it's I want to say $16.99 Canadian it was.
Oh, so it's pretty cheap. Jeez.
And it was a Kickstarter.
Yeah, there was quite a while ago, like they did a Kickstarter.
Yeah, because it's been on PC for like a good year or so.
Yeah, I think it came out in like October of last year.
Team Cherry Games.
Yeah. It looks really interesting. I'm like the art style is so unique.
Steam, Windows, Mac, Linux, Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, it's the first console it's out on. So
I thought it was on PS4 and Xbox, but I guess not.
No, it's not.
It's made in Unity. It's got really cool soundtrack.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty rad game.
Especially like for you on your Metroidvania.
Oh yeah,
it's like kick that you've been on.
Hell yeah, especially considering I beat all the Castlevanias until Bloodstained.
You ran out of Castlevania.
I've ran out of Castlevanias. I've beat them all except for the 3D ones, which you still give me a little bit of guff over.
Yeah, like geez.
I beat all the good Castlevania games.
Oh, jeez.
So you were playing Vampyr. I saw you streaming Vampyr.
Yeah, that game, holy shit. Oh, oh man, where do I even begin with that game? Okay. So Vampyr is a game where you play a doctor who becomes a vampire. And you do something real awful right at the beginning of the game. And partly because you partly don't really have a choice. It's just like you're a new vampire and you do this thing. I don't want to spoil it for everybody because it's kind of a large reason why you're doing what you're doing in the game and trying to figure out who made you into this and why they did that and who they are and what the end goal is here and all that kind of stuff. So essentially the game takes place in London at the end of, I believe it's the end of the First World War. So it's like London is currently in the throes of the Spanish flu. So people are dying left, right, and center. There's you literally wake up in this game in a mass grave filled with other people who have died from the flu. Now, the key thing, it's a third-person sort of action RPG style game. The key thing about this game, though, there's no difficulty levels, and your decisions matter. So, and when I say your decisions matter, it's not so much like, so there's a very deep talking system in the game. You talk to people, they have things to say. They will literally, they will tell you stuff and open up to you about things. And by talking to one person, you might actually open up another dialogue option with somebody else. And now the real key here is that all of the named characters in the game, you can feed on. Now, when you feed on somebody, you're going to kill them. So
you can't just partially snack on them.
I know.
If you feed on someone, they're dead.
Yeah.
So what's the whole mechanic of feeding on them? Is does that charge you?
So this is the thing. By running around and doing missions and things like that, you earn experience points, which you can then use to level up your powers. There's a whole bunch of vampire powers. You can increase your health and your blood, which is sort of like your mana. It's what you use to do cool vampire shit, and powerful attacks and things like that. So you level up a little bit by doing that stuff. So the key here is that when you feed on somebody, you get massive amounts of experience points. Like big. So, for example, you can run around, you can do side missions, you can the thing here is that there is other sort of vampire type things that are called, they're kind of like ghouls. They're not full vampires anymore, or they're not full vampires like you are, but they're they're kind of mindless, and the game kind of uses them like fodder. So you fight them. Some of them are a little stronger than others, but ultimately, like, you're the kind of an actual vampire. And there's also vampire hunters, which are human, that will try to find you and kill you, and they're constantly after you as well. So while you play the game and as you go about your business, you're going to come across these different factions. You're going to kill them. None of that has to do with sort of the story, but there's named characters in all of the different areas of the game, and those are the ones that when you feed on one of those, that's the big thing. So you feed on them, you could get thousands of experience points. So you can run around, you can do stuff, and like, you might get 1,000 experience points. You feed on one person, that's 3,000 and upwards of 6,000 experience points by feeding off of somebody. Now, the other kicker here is that the more you learn about people, so the first time you meet somebody, you're going to learn their name, and you're going to learn sort of how much experience points you would get if you feed off of them right now. So it might be like, say, 500, which you're like, oh, well, that's not great. But if you talk to them and you unlock more about them, you're actually going to unlock more experience points if you feed off of them. So you have this real interesting situation where you want to feed off these people because that's where the big experience points are. But if you feed off somebody, there is absolutely going to be repercussions in the story and in the game. So you could feed off somebody, and then you could actually end up not being able to talk to or push the story forward with somebody else in the game because that character is no longer in the game to either introduce you to that character, or the other person would be so upset by the death of that person that they leave town, and like all this kind of stuff. So, and that's the thing. So the whole time you're playing, and I mean, obviously you can play it however you want. You can totally go in and decide like, well, you're kind of a dick, I'm going to kill you, or, you know, I'm going to try and not kill anybody.
Murder everyone.
Or you could kind of like decide, you know what, I'm going to sort of, in a weird, creepy sense of the word, I'm going to fatten these people up. I'm going to get to know them really well. I'm going to unlock all of these experience points. And, and the other thing too is that there's characters in the game that are sick. And so when they're sick, you have a big chunk of their experience points that if you feed off of them when they're sick, you're not going to get those experience points. So if you heal them, though, because you're a doctor, that will make them that much more juicy, and you will get way more experience points if they're healthy. So there's this whole thing where you're trying to do side quests, get people healthy, fatten them up, so to say, so that if you do decide to feed on them, you get the maximum amount of experience points, but also you maybe at that point have learned a bit more about them and learned like what there may or may not be sort of these repercussions to the story and to other characters, you know, because like when you first meet a character, you might not realize that like, oh, they're actually having an affair with this other character. And so if you fed off them right away, you don't know how that would affect the other character and vice versa. And the other thing is that there's big named characters that are called pillars. So each area of the game, we'll call them like boroughs. Like the city is broken up into different areas, and each area has a whole set of named characters in it. And each area also has like a health gauge on it. So like when you pull up your menu, you can look at all the areas you've been to and you can see the health gauge for those areas. And so if you heal people and you help them with things and you get to know them better, the health for that borough is going to go up. And if you murder people and just kill them and like everybody's sick and they're not doing very well, things like that, the health for that area is going to go down. Now, if the health for that area hits a critical point, there's a certain point where if it hits that, it's like essentially gone. You can't essentially all of the side missions, all of the people in that area, it's gone critical, and there's like that stuff is all closed to you. And now when you go through that area, all it is like ghouls and bad shit. And so like if you have to travel through that or try to do stuff in that area, it's going to be actually harder for you to do it. And it's like, so there's all of these systems working, and you're like constantly thinking like, okay, how am I going to handle this? You got to talk to all these people, and you got to, it's deep. It's super deep. And I'm not going to lie. Cool. It's really, really neat. The one downside to this game that I'm finding is the combat, though, which you would think in a game like this, you're this vampire, you've got all these cool powers, you'd be able to kind of cruise all over the like battlefield and like knock like dudes. But it's weird because they've added like a stamina system, kind of, I don't want to say like a Souls game, but it's kind of like a Souls game where obviously when you attack, it uses up stamina. If you use up all your stamina, then you're obviously not going to be able to block attacks, and you're not obviously going to be able to attack either. But also you can't dodge. And enemies, it's fairly easy to get your ass kicked by stupid, like, just small characters in the game. It's not quite as brutal as like a Bloodborne or a Souls game. Yeah. But it's definitely not like the first time you kind of run in there and you're like, oh wow, these aren't a big deal, and then you realize like, oh man, these guys are totally like can kick my ass if I'm not careful. And also, so, and this is where things kind of get interesting, is that the difficulty of the game is directly tied into how you want to play it, as far as who you want to kill. Who do you want to feed off of? If you want to make the game really easy for yourself, you can actually just go feed on off of a whole bunch of people, get super strong, go run around the game being a badass like that. But of course, there's going to be consequences to that. You maybe a couple of areas you lose. Maybe you don't get to see those character stories. Also, because you do it that way, they're not going to be sort of optimal as far as like you're not going to hear about all their stories. You're not going to do all that. So you're also not going to be getting the maximum amount of experience that you could. Yeah. So maybe the end game gets a little bit more difficult. But like right now, I've been really cautious because I'm hoping that there's going to be some real assholes in the game, and I'm not going to feel bad about killing them. I'm just going to be like, oh, fuck this guy. He's a dick. He beats his wife or something. Like, I'm going to feed off of him. He's a dick. Or he's a serial killer, or I don't know. I haven't run into anybody like that yet, but there's a couple people that I'm looking at going like, you're kind of a dick. I'm not real fond of you yet.
I'm gonna eat you for dinner.
But we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But that being said, like the combat is, your character's he doesn't move super well. Like there's a bit of a disconnect in the movement during combat. I don't know how to explain it. It feels clunky. How's that?
Yeah.
In a game where I feel like it shouldn't feel clunky. It's like if this game had a smooth combat system, it would be absolutely unbelievable. Like it might be one of my favorite games this year. Like all the story stuff, all of the other back-end things that they're doing in this game are unlike so many other games, and the way that they're doing it all is just incredible. But the combat system being the way that it is, it kind of really brings it down. It makes this game go from like a 9 to like a 6.5, maybe a 7. Boo. Just because it's a situation where like you have to fight guys. The missions and things like that are you're attacking guys and you're fighting, and there's bosses that you have to fight and things like that, right? Yeah. There's a level up system in the game, so as you gain experience points, you can go back to one of your like hideouts. There's essentially hideouts that you have strewn across in the different areas. And when you go back to there, you can rest, and it essentially, you sleep through the day. and you use that to level up your character. So if you go in there, you can put your points into various things and also level up. The key there, though, too, is that when you go to sleep at night, that's where any of the things that you've done in the game, like say you've fed on somebody and then you go to sleep, that's when the real repercussions of what you've done, when you wake up the next day, that's when the stuff's going to start to come to play, right? Somebody's going to find out, like, oh, this body's there, or this person's gone, or for example, like if you heal a bunch of people, if you get a bunch of people like much healthier, then you're going to notice that the health for a specific area has gone up. Maybe if you fed off of a person or done some bad things, you're going to see the health for that area go down. So that type of stuff all kicks in at night when you essentially level up. But again, like there's that risk reward you got to be careful with, because there's times when you're like, oh man, I need to just like go level up clearly. But there might be some stuff that you either hadn't finished or you were working on finishing that you're like, oh, do I want to sort of leave it in the middle like this? Like there might be some weird repercussions here. So it really kind of makes you think. Also, as I learned, there's characters that you'll come across in the game, and they'll be in a situation where they need your help. So like maybe they're stuck in a room and there's some ghouls attacking the door. And if you come in and if you kill the ghouls and then you talk to the guy or girl, then the following night after you fall asleep, that will be a person that you can go and talk to and have a conversation with and build like a story and possibly feed on if you decide to go that route, and so on and so forth. But if you come across a person like that that's in need and you don't help them, they will be dead if you sleep without helping them. So so not only do you miss out on the experience points, but you also miss out on any story beats that they and anybody that they're linked to that you won't be able to get. So it's like I said, it's incredibly deep. And like they do so many cool things in that game. And I was like kind of hoping that maybe they were going to release some patches and sort of patch in like some, I don't know, just make the combat a little bit more fluid or something. Like there's been a few times where I've been above somebody and I want to like drop down on them and attack them, but there's nothing, like all I can do is just drop down and start attacking them. Like there's no, you know what I mean? Like, but I feel like if you're up there, you should, you know, if you're in an Assassin's Creed game, you're going to drop down on that fool and like stick a knife in his neck. You know what I'm saying? Like it's missing things like that, and there's not really, and I don't know, maybe some of the vampire powers a little bit later on will sort of mitigate some of this stuff. I'm not sure. But it feels like there's so much potential here that if they would have got the combat right, that this game could have been something so much more special. And that's, yeah, it's like, it's on one hand, I want to like recommend it to everybody because it's just so fucking cool. But on the other hand, it's like, if you're really into the story and this and that, then I highly recommend it. But just be aware that the combat is a little clunky and it, you know, may be frustrating at times.
You're really playing it for the story and the systems. Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, it's deep and it's cool. And if you're into vampires, they've done a great job of building this, making London feel like it probably did back then. It's got this dark brooding. It feels like Penny Dreadful. If anybody out there's watched that, like it feels like you're there. It's cool. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been working away at. I did stream some of that. It's pretty cool to be able to see sort of, you know, all of the different systems and things like that were going on. So I'll probably be streaming it again, hopefully this weekend if I get a chance. So yeah, so look out for that. But yeah, that's Vampyr. Yeah, man.
Nice.
I also jumped into The Division again last weekend.
I also sort of jumped into the Division.
Dude, loading it up doesn't count as jumping in. Seeing the splash screen.
I loaded the game up because after playing Division 2 at E3 and hearing that stuff was carrying over into the Division 2 from Division 1, I'm like, I got to go back and see all these updates. Everyone's been ranting and raving about how good it is and all the cool stuff they've added. And obviously when you launch it, you're greeted with it, which is kind of nice. You're greeted with a screen saying what's new in this most recent version, what they've added.
Totally.
And even actually that there's a bunch of chests that I got from the rewards vendor that gives me loot that brings me up to a tier to be able to do the newest stuff.
Interesting.
Apparently, I guess.
Were you not at level... you were at level 30.
I was level 30 already.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
There's a bunch of chests and gear that I got. I haven't equipped any of it, so I don't know if it's better than what I had before.
I pretty much guarantee you that it is.
But yeah, from my understanding, it was supposed to get you up to what they called World Tier 4 or 5, which means nothing to me.
So I can explain all this to you now.
Sure. Shoot.
As I muddled my way through it. So I was level 30. I'd hit level 30. I'd beat the base game. Then I hadn't really touched it since. I did a little bit of stuff in the Dark Zone, not a ton. Yeah. And then I kind of stopped playing it. That was probably almost a year and a half ago, at least at this point. So yeah, like since you have already touched on it, there's now a tier system. So when you're out in the world, before there was like each area, before you hit level 30, each area has levels. So these enemies in this level are level 1 through 7, or this area is 7 through 12, and so on and so forth. So the whole area is split up like that, so as not to just destroy you with level 30 guys when you're level 1. Once you hit level 30, essentially everywhere in the world is got level 30 guys in it. So trying to kill you. So it kind of makes it a little bit better so that you're not just going back to some of these old areas and then just walking around through them like you're Superman. So what the tiers are is you have gear now that has a rating on it. It's a little bit like the power system in Destiny.
Yeah, it's
so as you get gear, it's going to have a number.
Gear score.
Yeah, you have a gear score, and it averages out all of the gear that you currently have equipped into a number. So if you like equip a gun that's got 200 and then this armor is 50 and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it'll average it out and go like, oh, you have a gear score of 190. And that then corresponds to a world tier. So if at world tier like 1, it's good for like a gear score up to like 100 or something like that. And then from like 100 to 140 or whatever it is, I'm guessing, I'm not, that's a tier, that's a world tier 2. So you can actually go into your map and you can, once you hit a certain level, you can actually change the world tier to be tier 2. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to make the enemies are going to be higher level. So they're going to be harder, but they're also going to drop gear that could possibly be higher level up to the maximum that tier is. So instead of like, if you're in tier 1, you're going to only be able to get loot that drops up to like 102 or whatever it is. And then after that, if you jump into tier 2, suddenly you're going to have gear that drops up to like 140. So then once your gear score gets to a certain point, then you can jump into tier 3. So, and it's kind of a way that you can use to level yourself up so that you're getting better gear and not just like being stuck. It's kind of like in Destiny, you can run around and you can, but you have to do only the highest level stuff to get the good shit that finally drops, right?
Yeah.
Like everywhere else is going to like stop at a certain point. But if you could change that number, then everything that you were doing would drop a higher tier of like items, so that would be a better stat. And that's kind of what happens here. So it's cool. It's it sounds like the guys were telling me that the tiers, I believe 290 is the top of your gear score, is what it sounds like. And I am, what am I now? After my last play session, I believe I was at like 230 or something like that now. I'm just trying to quickly find it here. So yeah, so I was trying to figure out like what was going on.
Yeah.
And just learning about everything like that. Okay, so I went from like on the weekend when I loaded into the game after having hit level 30 and getting a little bit of end game gear. I was at a level 96 on my gear score. So after I finished playing on the weekend, I was at gear score 247.
Nice.
So that's where I ended it.
How did you check that information?
I just looked because I'd posted it in a Discord channel.
Oh, nice.
You can see it in the game as well when you load in.
Yeah,
your character has
I was just wondering
score.
if you had an app or something. That's how you checked it.
They do have an app. The Division app will also tell you. So yeah, so that's how that all works, which is really helpful. They've also implemented a thing now where you can go in. There's a whole bunch of end level stuff now. I didn't get the DLC packs, so I don't have a whole bunch of the story stuff for the 2 DLC or the 3 DLCs that they've released, but I hear that stuff's really good as well. But there's still a ton of end level content, even for plebs like me, where they've unlocked a thing where you can go to any of the areas in the game where there's the boards, and you can go on the board and you get search and destroys, or like they're like bounties. And when you do these bounties, you get points for these bounties. And when you get enough points, you can use them. I think it's 10. When you collect 10 of them, you can use them towards gear. So like everything is kind of towards new gear.
Yeah.
So like you can do those to get like points that you can then use at a vendor to try and get better stuff. There's now cosmetic only things, so you can actually, if you want, you can spend real money on that. You can also get it in game. There's a couple different currencies now. There's like, they kind of went a little bit Destiny 1 on it, where there's like 4 or 5 different currencies now in that game. And I was like, to be honest, currencies. I'm not. You've got your Dark Zone points, and you've got your regular money, and you've got your so yeah, all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, it's like I said, I played for multiple hours over the course of the weekend, did some leveling up, sort of got my head back around a lot of it, but I'm still sitting here going like, man, I'm gonna need to play a bunch more to try and figure out what the hell some of this other stuff is. So, but man, that game has come a long way since I played it last, that's for sure. Not only that, it runs so much smoother now, than it did at launch.
Yeah, it does.
That part of it is incredible.
That was the first thing I noticed when I launched it, because I think I was mid 60s, and I was in the 70s and 80s frames per second.
Yeah, I'm finding like I'm pretty much locked at 60 most of the time now.
Yeah, definitely some performance
not dropping
there
too often, which like before I was seeing like pretty significant drops.
Yeah, I'd
and
see
stuff.
it dip every once in a while too.
So yeah, that game's on Game Pass. If it's been included in Game Pass.
Fallout 4 the day of the Microsoft press conference, right?
Yeah. So if you're on Xbox One,
of Game Pass,
yes,
we're giving away a couple months on the Geekoholics Twitter and my Twitter.
Okay.
I'll choose a winner for that on Friday, and then I'll probably do another one and another one, because I got a stack of Game Pass cards.
Sweet.
Did you want one? I wasn't sure if you wanted one. You retweeted.
I should probably grab one. So I can at least check it out.
Speaking of Game Pass, I'm going to say a code right now.
Wow.
So, Dane,
hold on, I gotta write this down.
You're not allowed to steal this.
Okay.
But this is really long, so you might have to replay this. I don't know. So whoever gets this, maybe just tweet at the Geekoholics account that you used the code from episode 161.
It's a good idea.
But yeah, so here's a code for 1 month of Xbox Game Pass.
Okay.
Courtesy of Xbox and at Mixer and E3, because that's where I got it from the Mixer booth.
Very cool.
2 MCV 3 4 PWCW HKQCD H997J 97THZ. So whoever is quick on the replay and keyboard skills is you just unlocked yourself a month of Xbox Game Pass.
Dope.
So enjoy that little.
We should start doing this in the middle of our podcast more often.
A little secret
tell people about it. Like, hey, if you listen to the podcast, there might be something cool in the middle for y'all.
So anyway, hopefully whoever gets that, I hope you enjoy that. And if you already have a subscription, there's an extra month added to your subscription.
Very cool.
Game Pass is great.
So
I got to play more Division.
Division was also like super cheap. I don't know if it still is, but it was like $15. I want to say.
One of the complaints I have about E3 is that while I was down there and internet was spotty, I didn't take advantage of a lot of the pre-order deals and stuff at like Best Buy and Walmart or whatever. So I missed out on a bunch of that stuff, which kind of sucks. But
that does suck.
Oh well, whatever.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So, we don't have a lot of news, blaze through this, and then I won't talk about all. I think I'll just do like 4 or 5 games, and over the next few weeks, we'll talk about all the stuff, considering none of this stuff comes out anytime soon.
Fair enough.
Well, some of it actually is already out. But actually, I'm just looking at the list. I think only one game's out. And then Mario Tennis Aces is out soon. I think
that one actually
is Friday
as
well, so not much to say about that. Everyone played the beta. But yeah, in news, cross-platform news. News. Steam added an option to see how much you spent on all your games. Now, from what I understand, it only shows you what you've actually put in your wallet and spent on Steam, so it doesn't like add up all the games you own in Steam that you got codes from other sources or whatnot. It's specifically games you purchased and funds you added to Steam. So my total was not that bad. It was like almost $800. I was quite surprised at how low it was, to say the truth. But I guess a lot of my games I've gotten from other sites and vendors, and obviously from devs and pubs directly.
That's crazy. I checked this out earlier, and I just about had a small heart attack.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know if you saw our Discord or not. But,
no, I hadn't had a chance to jump in Discord really today very much.
My spend was... Oh, boy. Where is it? I was a little over $1,600.
Woo. I've gotten a lot, for whatever reason, I've gotten a lot of free PC games.
Here's the key. That's US dollars.
Oh, oi.
So, and to be fair, that's also starting in 2004.
Yeah.
So really, when I take the fact that that's almost 20 years worth of games. No, that's... My math is terrible.
14 years?
That's a lot of years worth of games. If I was to cut that up across, that's
It'd
actually
probably
not
be pretty
too
reasonable.
bad. Yeah, that's
I was
not
really
too
surprised.
bad.
I was expecting mine to be in the thousands, and it wasn't. And I'm like, what? And then I like, okay, well, this doesn't take into account Green Man Gaming or codes that were given to me because there was no funds transferred to Steam per se.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
I know I have a lot more.
So that's actually only like $114 a year over the course of my Steam career, if you will.
Yeah, that's not very much.
So that's actually really not that bad at all.
Speaking of Steam, summer sale apparently should be live by the time this podcast goes up.
Really? That's coming out this weekend, eh?
Is the rumor, yeah.
Oh, is the rumor.
From the Steam database, so.
Interesting.
Man, do you remember when Steam sales seemed like they were so far apart? I feel like we always have a Steam sale.
I feel like they were only, at one point, they were only doing like the summer and the winter sale.
Yeah, and now it's like...
So there was only 2 a year. Now I feel like they do a fall one and a spring one and a summer one. They're doing at least 4 a year.
There's at least
now.
4, maybe even more, yeah.
And then depending on if there's other big things happening, sometimes like I know they did like the Chinese New Year one a couple of years ago. So yeah.
Pokemon Go is officially getting trading soon. I don't know if that has been added already or if it's any day now because I haven't been playing it.
People are playing that still?
Yeah, people are playing it. People have gone back to it with the fact that it ties in with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And did you know that the Pokeball controller is compatible with Pokemon Go as well?
I heard.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot item this Christmas.
Oh, if they manage to get it out by then.
I'm really interested in seeing how this trading works because I'm missing a couple of Pokemans and I need to get them all now.
Knowing Nintendo, it'll come out 6 months after the game and then it'll be in super limited quantities and nobody will be able to get their hands on it.
Oh, you mean the Pokeball controller?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be super hard to get. I think you can still pre-order. You can't pre-order them at Amazon.ca, but I believe Best Buy still has them up for pre-order.
So, whatever.
I liked Let's Go Pikachu. I thought it was cool. I will be purchasing it.
When's that out again?
I wrote it down in our outline. It's November 16th.
Okay.
Moving along. Don't really have much Nintendo news. We went over the Direct. That was all the Nintendo news. You know, Fortnite.
Nintendo didn't have a lot of Nintendo news.
Fortnite announced released. Hollow Knight announced. Well, we knew Hollow Knight was already coming, but released. Fire Emblem, we talked about all that stuff. So nothing really new this week. They've been kind of quiet. PlayStation news. Very interesting. Introducing a greatest hits lineup like they used to have on PS2, PS3.
I was wondering when this was going to happen.
Bunch of really good games for...
Starting with 15 games initially, I believe.
Yeah.
But apparently only 14 in Canada, as I understand.
$20.
Check out the Canadian... Oh. So here... Let's run down the list real quick. We got Bloodborne, Battlefield 4, Drive Club, Infamous Second Son, Killzone Shadowfall, The Last of Us Remastered, Little Big Planet 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Definitive Experience,
Dun, dun, dun.
Project Cars, Ratchet & Clank, Street Fighter 5, Uncharted 4, Yakuza Kiwami, and Yakuza 0.
All excellent games.
So it looks like we are missing Doom. Is one that is not... That's the one that didn't come out in Canada for whatever reason. I don't know why. So, there you go. But yeah, $20 Canadian. There you go. That's pretty cool. I'm surprised that they're the same price as the American ones.
Yeah, it's so little that it's not worth the exchange.
Yeah, that still surprises me, though. It's the one time we win. Ha ha ha!
Yeah, screw you, America. I mean, what?
So that starts June 28th, by the way. So that's pretty cool, though, because there's some really, there is some solid games in there. Like Metal Gear Solid 5 for $20, Uncharted 4 for $20.
Or
hell, I might buy Street Fighter 5.
Because maybe you've gotten them digitally through PlayStation Plus and you want a physical version to show off on your shelf. $20.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that. That's stupid.
Some people want to do that.
I mean, I might buy Street Fighter 5 now if it's $20. Anyways, apparently that will also be digital. So there you go. So the digital price
like
for those.
There are some price drops for DLC as well. Like apparently the expansion for Horizon.
Oh,
the price has been cut on that. Apparently,
okay.
I think it's like $10 now.
Very cool.
So like $100,000 Canadian. Or maybe
that doesn't seem like it's right.
Or maybe like $12.99 or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Horizon here. I'm gonna look. No, it's $29 for the complete edition digitally. But how can I find Frozen Wild? $13.49.
There you go.
Not bad. I might have to buy that. I never bought it. That's a good game, man. That Horizon, what an awesome game. That game would have been Game of the Year, except for it had to come out the year that Mario and Zelda came out.
Yeah.
Still a fantastic title. Moving along. God of War's getting New Game Plus.
Horizon itself isn't a greatest hit, though.
No, it's not.
No.
It just got a price drop. Or it's just on sale. I don't know.
Okay, that makes more sense. You were freaking me out. I was like, what?
God of War's getting New Game Plus soon. No date. Not much to add. If you want to play through the game with your awesome gear that you got late game in that, now you can. Fortnite. This was a huge story at E3. This is like when I was on the show floor, this is like one of the biggest things most people were talking about. Sony locking your Epic account to the PlayStation. Has everyone in a tizzy because everyone who was playing on PS4 wanted to play Fortnite on their Switch. And yeah, so that's annoying. Word is it all boils down to money. People are having a hizzy at Sony telling them to fix it. I have a feeling this would be the exact same thing if Xbox was in the lead. It's just...
Well,
it's dumb.
They were last generation and it didn't happen, so...
It's dumb. Your Epic account should be separate from the platform. This
is where I have a weird time with it, is because your Epic account is separate from... Like, I could...
It is separate.
Yeah, that's
but
the
except
thing
for
that
if you play on the PS4, your account gets locked to the PS4 or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird.
I don't know if it's just an issue, if it's on purpose or whatnot, because to be honest, didn't I complain about this like months ago with the Xbox and the PC? I swear I did on the podcast. Did I not?
You had connected your account
on
something and then
Xbox. Because I was playing
and then you had to
on
undo
PC.
It because it was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. It just wouldn't even let me even play on Xbox, let alone share the account. Now I have used that account on the Xbox. Not that I really care to play on any of the consoles, but my account is working on the Switch, that's working on PC. But in the early days, it only worked on one console regardless of this Sony debacle. So... they fixed that. So I don't see any reason why they can't fix this, but it seems like there's a little more going on than just that it was a oversight and that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a story here from a former person who used to work at Sony, John Smedley, who said that when I was at Sony, the stated reason internally for this was money. They didn't like someone buying something on an Xbox and it being used on a PlayStation. Simple as that. Dumb reason, but there it is. So he's essentially saying that that's why they didn't want to open up cross-play. That's kind of a weird one, though.
Because it can't be taken with a grain of salt because he is former Sony employee.
Yeah, and not just that, but I feel like this is a bit of an interesting one because for the most part, if you were to purchase stuff from PlayStation, you're not playing it on your Xbox. This is a case where you have a third account that you're purchasing everything through for Fortnite, and it's linked to that account. So really, if you're playing it on the Xbox or the PlayStation, doesn't really matter because you're still playing it through that account.
I guess Sony just wants their cut of the Fortnite V-Bucks.
I guess, like, I don't even know how that works. Like, if you play it on PlayStation and you buy stuff,
if you buy the currency
you have
through
to
the PlayStation Store, they get their cut, right?
Oh, so you have to purchase everything. Okay,
you have to buy their V-Bucks currency. So you're either doing it on PC or Xbox or Switch. So it's happening through the marketplaces of those particular consoles.
Got it. So Sony's getting us like their 20% or whatever when you do it that way.
Yes.
Versus on PC, Epic just gets 100% or whatever.
Yes.
Interesting. So yeah, it's I don't know. I mean,
speaking
I feel
of
like
which,
at some point,
100%, like you just made me realize, they get all the money on PC.
Right.
I feel like they should offer discounts on the skins and stuff on PC then. That would make a lot of sense. I wonder if they already do that. I don't pay enough attention. I've never bought skins for the stupid game.
Or they're like, forget that noise. We just make them up money.
Yeah, so they can throw their crazy parties down at E3.
Yeah. There you go.
Whatever. Stupid Fortnite. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, it's only a story because obviously Fortnite's the biggest game in the world, and a whole bunch of people that have obviously put lots of hours in on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I've been wanting
now want to play it on their Switch, and they can't.
Yeah, it would be pretty frustrating.
I mean, you don't have can play. You just have to create a new Epic account if you don't want to play it on the Switch. You don't have your skins and your unlocks, which is like a big. The only thing in that game to unlock is all aesthetics and cosmetics. So, right,
you want to show off how much of a sucker by how much money you spent on that game.
Or how much time you've put into it and unlocked stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And your battle pass progress and stuff. It makes sense. I can see where people are upset.
Yeah.
Moving along. Xbox news. There's a new avatar editor that has debuted to Xbox insiders. I guess avatars are coming back soon. I know they've been talking about it for a long time. It's very inclusive. You've got people.
My question is why?
I don't know. People want to see themselves on the dashboard. So there's all kinds of people of color, background, disabilities.
If this was like
body
using
types.
These characters in games that didn't suck,
so,
that would be kind of, I could see like, oh, that'd be kind of a neat idea. But
someone was saying that they should have a battle royale game with the avatars. Avatar
That'd
Royale.
be kind of awesome.
Yeah, so they've added tons of customization. So to be inclusive and include everybody. That's cool, whatever.
That's
Again,
awesome.
Yeah, they're kind of pointless. They're like me's.
Yeah, okay.
I went to a midnight opening of Incredibles 2 down in the States.
Whoa, look at you all fancy.
Do you have plans to watch that movie?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
my wife and I are quite excited to see it.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about it when you guys see it then. I will say it's really good.
Like waiting 14 years good, or
I don't know how you can really quantify that. It's a good sequel.
That's good.
Jack steals the show.
I'm not surprised.
With that, let's get into some of my E3 hands-on impressions. I didn't talk about Spider-Man last week, did I?
We talked a little bit about
Besides saying I played it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was really good. It was fluid, and it felt like the best Spider-Man game. It felt like as I've heard, it feels like the best Batman game with Spider-Man.
Yeah. I can't remember how much I talked about it last week because I'm still recovering. I've been so exhausted. It was 5 hours, maybe 6 hours.
Nobody that listens to this podcast feels sorry for you right now.
A night's
We're
sleep.
all screaming into our, like, fuck you, Rick. Bitch, complaining about going to E3 and now you're complaining that you're tired because of it. Psh. Yeah, right.
It's a little rough. I'm still catching up on my sleep.
I know.
Speaking of which, reminds me of, you remember the story of Barbecue Rat?
Yep.
Have I told that story on here, right? Or is that just a Discord story?
I don't know if we've talked about that one on here, to be fair.
I can't keep all my stories straight, man. So many circles that I blab in. Okay.
You're getting old.
Long story short, I have a rat who doesn't live in my barbecue, but he visits it, and he does nasty shit in it. AKA, he takes shit.
They do that.
And it's gross because he's in the fat tray. It's really frustrating. I've tried homemade traps. I've tried multiple different ways of getting him. He's too goddamn smart.
Rats are horrible, man.
He's smart.
They're incredibly smart.
So anyway,
they suck.
Last night, I got a couple weeks ago, I got some new traps, but just nothing's working. And I'm like, this guy's just fooling with me. It's so bad that I would clean the barbecue, make dinner, and then not even 2 hours later, it's still light out. I would go check the barbecue, and there'd be crap in it. And it's like, that motherfucker has been here already. Like, it's not even nighttime. He's just he's got big ass rat balls. Anyway.
All right.
I set my traps differently. I totally spread peanut butter all over the trigger plate and went crazy.
Okay.
I have 2 traps and I put them at the top of the stairs on my deck. Because he's coming up from the yard up my stairs onto our upper second story level deck where the barbecue is.
Right.
And the stairs kind of have these. They're almost like rails that go up the side, which would make a perfect ramp for him to come upstairs. So I set the traps there. I'm like, I figure he must just walk right up here because it'd be easier than going up the steps step by step, right?
Okay.
So he must be coming up this side part like a ramp. And I set both the traps there just facing the top of the ramp. I don't know what time it was, but it was middle of the night. Clonk, 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 all this noise. Dog starts going crazy. We get woken up and I'm like, I think we have a dead rat. He had got caught in both traps.
Nice.
Now, the funny thing is I had cleaned, there was more poop in the barbecue. So I don't think they got him on the way up. I think he got nailed when he was leaving.
Oh, interesting.
So he fucked up.
So have you figured out if there's more than one yet?
I set them up again today before I came down to record here.
Is there more shit in there? Does he have rat buddies
I
that
checked
he told
it again
about?
Tonight because we used the barbecue again tonight. It's clean.
Yeah. Okay.
And I reset the traps before coming down here to record. The lady at the store, the farm board and mercantile, where you get animal food, gardening stuff, fertilizer, all kinds of shit, pest control. She was saying, if you got one, that means there's 20. And I'm like, fuck you. I don't want to hear that. So anyway, I set the traps up again tonight. So we'll see. We'll find out if we get another one. But it was quite startling in the middle of the night.
Yeah, man. Rats are, as somebody who grew up on a farm, they are incredibly crafty. And
dude, it's been months I've been trying to get this guy. He was huge. And he was making a fool of me. Yep.
They do that.
I was at wit's end, and I felt I felt terrible this morning. I'm not happy that he's dead and gone now. I wasn't happy about it. I just wanted him to leave. I'd caught him in the barbecue a couple times.
Wow.
I can't remember if I've told those stories.
Nope, and definitely not.
And chased him away. I had a hockey stick, and it's I can't hit him with this. I can't do that. Just didn't feel right. And anyway, I felt really bad this morning. I actually felt bad most of the day. Because he's just trying to live.
Yeah, he's trying to do his thing.
But I also want to use my barbecue and not lift up the lid and see rat shit in it and be disgusted that my food is contaminated by gross rats.
Yeah, and also it's super bad. Rats are incredibly dirty, and you got to be very, very careful.
And they're not in our house. They're not in our garage. They're not.
Yeah.
It's just he must have this route that he goes around between all the houses, and he figured out one winter that we had some good stuff in there, and so we'll find out, to be continued, if there is more.
Fair enough.
Rats to be killed or did. Spider-Man on PS4.
I was going to say, how the hell did that come up from Spider-Man? But
I can't remember. Something reminded me and bridged me to that story.
I mean, we talked about my lack of. I joked about being mouseless at the top of the show.
Yeah, that's it. That was
and you mentioned
mouseless.
it, but
that was the mouse comment. Reminded me of the rat comment because that literally happened last night. Oh,
now that we're talking about it, the reason I'm mouseless and I was making that joke is because the scroll wheel on my mouse is dying. Yeah. So I'm in the market for a new mouse. So if you got a mouse that you think is the shit, shoot me a tweet and let me know what mouse you use and like
get the Logitech
that it's awesome.
One. Maybe I'll ask Logitech to send me their fancy wireless one and I can give you my old one.
Psh, I don't want your hand-me-downs.
I don't think they would send me one anyway.
Talk to Logitech myself. Tell them to send me a review unit.
Spider-Man is pretty rad.
I've heard that from many people.
Is fantastic. The combat is like Batman. The graphics are amazing. The environment interaction is really cool. I foiled a store robbery. I foiled a vehicle that had a bomb planted in it with a cool kind of quick-timey event. I went to a construction site and beat up a bunch of gangsters and fought like a mini boss. I perched on top of buildings and did my Spidey sense to unlock all the different events or like spots on the map.
Right.
I'm so hyped for this game.
It looks awesome.
It's probably like my favorite thing I played at the show. And it was the first thing, which is pretty hilarious. But it was so good. September 7th. We'll probably get to play it. Oh. You know what? It'll most likely be at PAX. Speaking of PAX, we got to register for that.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So Spider-Man, if you had any concerns, don't worry about it. That game is rad. I don't know. I think the only negative, and I might have said it last week, I might be repeating myself a little bit. If you don't like that Batman combat, like the combos and countering system, it might not appeal to you. But everything else, the swinging, the running up buildings, the running along the sides of buildings, it all feels really good. And it's super smooth. So I'm pretty happy. I was concerned that it wasn't going to control very well. And I was concerned about the seemed like insane amount of QuickTime events from the PSX demos. But literally, I think I did one QuickTime event I think I played for like half an hour. I don't know what the demo kiosks in the PlayStation booth were like, because I played it at the PlayStation at the media showcase.
Right.
Because after all that stuff went down, they had like it was supposed to be like a Manhattan or what is that? Where does Spider-Man take place city-wise? Is it Manhattan?
I think it's supposed to be just like New York. Yeah.
So they had like a Manhattan kind of city backdrop with buskers and street vendors and stuff like that. And then they had all these demo kiosks. And I beelined it straight to that and jumped on. On the first day of the show, during our media industry hour, which was really nice because it wasn't very cramped. It really felt like the media hour at PAX.
Right.
Where like you could go to whatever you wanted and there was little to no lineup. And it was for 3 hours. So we got a lot accomplished during that time.
Right.
The first day, Joel really wanted to see Resident Evil 2, which is, to be honest, I think I talked about it. I have never heard such a loud crowd reaction to a reveal ever. People were freaking stoked. They had a cool booth. They did like almost like the Haunted Mansion kind of thing. It was set up like the Raccoon City Police Department.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Basically, the queue line, before you got in, I think we had to wait like 20 minutes or so. It wasn't too long. But the booth attendants, females, gave us these flashlights. I'm like, what's this for? And I'm like, oh, this is an awesome flashlight. I'm like, I want to kind of keep this, but we could keep it. You were led down a hallway and it was like pitch black. So then you turn on your flashlight and I have a video of getting spooked by a freaking zombie lunging at me around the corner, kind of like the Haunted Mansion kind of thing where they get right in your face, but they don't quite touch you. But I wasn't expecting him to be there, so I kind of shit my pants.
Right.
And then he was like kind of chasing me down the hallway. I got a really cool video. It looks like total Blair Witch style with this zombie chasing me. That was really
awesome.
cool. And then you're in the room with all the demos, and I don't know how long it was. I believe it was timed. It was at least 20 minutes or longer. It seemed quite sizable. It's Resident Evil 2 remade. Leon Kennedy, fantastic graphics, wicked cutscenes, all new voice act. Like, it's the old game, but it's a new game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's more than just a remake. It's a brand new Resident Evil. It's got Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 7 was first person, but it's like first person, God of War, Gears of War type over a third person control scheme with the strafing and turning, first person aiming down the sight and so forth.
I was worried they were going to do tank controls again.
It doesn't have tank controls.
Because they did the reboot for Resident Evil 1, and they kept the tank controls in. It's like, it's beautiful, but the controls suck still. So I'm glad to hear that they've
it's
not done that this time.
In that it also has it's got RE4 controls. It has fixed cameras, not fixed cameras, if that makes sense. You actually have a button that you can change the camera. So it'll change the camera angle in the environment you're in. Which is kind of neat, because it still feels like an old Resident Evil game, but it feels like a modern game at the same time. It definitely
that's a neat idea.
It definitely made good use of HDR, and the lighting was really cool. We were playing on 4K monitors. I'm pretty sure I was playing on a PS4 Pro, I believe. I don't know. You couldn't see the console. It was a controller going into a cabinet, right?
Right. Was it a PlayStation controller, I assume?
Yeah. Who knows? It could have been a PC,
probably on a
or
PC.
dev kit, whatever, right?
Yeah. Dev kit.
It looked really good, and it played really well. And I'm like, oh god, I remember this. Why this game is so rad. I got jump scared like at least a couple times. It's got the same combine items and so forth. Your inventory, is a certain amount of squares. You can only carry so much stuff. There was some, I don't know if it's crafting, but you could get boards, and in different areas of the police station where there was like broken windows that were open, you could board up the windows. So I don't know if there's some kind of mechanic to stem or slow down the flow of like random zombies.
Interesting.
So I don't know how that all plays out in the big term, but or in the grand scheme of things. But I had like 3 boards, so I was going down this hallway. I was like, oh hey, there's a bunch of windows here. I'm just gonna board these up, and then boarding them up, you could see the zombies outside couldn't get in. And before I had boarded them all up, one of them had like flopped into the hallway. And, I just blasted his ass in the head. It was a little gory. There was some gore, some cutscenes that were just like, ugh.
That game honestly looks really gross. Like, when they showed the trailer in the press conference, I was like, wait, does this, oh my god. It
looked like it was going to be a VR game at the start of that reveal.
I asked kind of surprised they aren't doing it after Resident Evil.
There was devs there, and they just said no comment.
Oh, so they're not saying it is or it isn't?
So who knows? It definitely, graphically, I think it might.
I wonder if it's one of those things where if Sony pays them enough extra money, they'll do it.
I think it might be a little graphically too intense compared to Resident Evil 7.
Oh.
But the best Resident Evil being modernized, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's pretty awesome.
That's coming out January 25th. We were in the Capcom booth, so Mega Man 11 was there.
Okay.
It's Mega Man 11.
Yep.
It looks awesome. It plays really good. The 3D graphics look fantastic. I'm pretty stoked for it. Obviously, I played like just a small portion of a stage. I didn't complete a whole stage because I had an appointment that I had to get to. But I played enough to know that this is a solid Mega Man entry. The polish was there. Graphically, it looked really good. And I'm pretty stoked for that. October 2nd. Especially with the fact there's new Amiibo coming out. going to be getting that on Switch. I believe I played it on PS4, but it doesn't seem like the kind of game that's going to lose anything in the transition to Switch.
Right.
Rage 2 was probably the next thing I played. That was just during our industry hour, media hour. There's literally no lineup, and they were giving away ice cream. And actually,
did you get some ice cream?
Hell yeah, I got ice cream.
Good man. That's what I like to hear.
Mint chocolate chip with gummy bears.
I
just wanted candy.
Okay.
They were on top. They weren't in it. But the mint chocolate chip was yummy. Did you watch the press conference, right? Yeah, we talked about it. You know that rocker dude that did the performance during the press conference?
Sorry, I didn't watch the Bethesda one.
Oh, what's his name? Andrew something.
I don't know. Is that the one that had memes made after him afterwards?
Maybe. Did he with the really long hair?
Yeah.
He's like the rock god or party
I can't
god
remember.
or something.
Yeah, anyways.
They do the music and they do like the theme song. His name's Andrew something. Why can't I freaking figure it out? I got a selfie with him. He was in our demo.
Oh, very cool.
That was cool. He's huge. He's really tall. And actually, the game director and that other really big tall guy that was in the press conference was in our demo as well. They were like filming something, I think, for their stream. And it just happened to be our group was in there at the same time.
Right. That's cool.
So I played some Rage 2.
How's that game coming along? I hear it's kind of interesting.
I did talk about it last week. I did talk about Rage, didn't I? I feel like I did.
You said that you played it.
Yeah, the guns were really good. They felt really solid. They had some weight to them. They had a nice oomph to them. They were impactful. They didn't feel like pea shooters. You've got like some...
You got some powers.
Yeah, you've got powers. What are they called? Nano trait powers or something?
Some weird name.
Yeah, nano traits. You had a slam power and then the shatter power, which basically is like a force push on steroids.
Right.
You could gib guys really good. The guns felt good. The powers felt good. You had like a time slowdown power as well, and then like a dash kind of move as well to close the gap on enemies if you're getting a little overwhelmed. The shotgun was pretty rad. I was messing people up with it.
Nice.
They didn't have an announced release date for it, but
don't worry, it'll probably be February 22nd, just like everything else that's releasing in the spring.
It's 2019. I liked what I played. I like the old one. I like vehicle combat. The studios that are working on it, id and Avalanche, are both super talented. I think it'll do quite well. I think it's going to be a nice surprise release, like surprise hit, like Doom was. You know, everyone was like,
where everybody's a little bit cautious about it.
Yeah, like everyone was like, another Doom game,
great.
Whatever. And then Doom came out and it was like, this game's fucking awesome. I have a feeling I have a feeling that's what's going to happen with Rage 2.
I hope so.
I enjoyed what I played. You know, I wasn't like, I don't know. It ain't no Battleborn or Lawbreakers, where it was like,
so you knew what it was when you played it.
Yeah, it played well, felt good, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna hit.
Fair enough.
How big? I don't know, but it's gonna definitely do all right. I played some Destiny 2 Forsaken. The campaign, which was not on the show floor.
Ooh,
I knew.
Fancy.
And so special. I played it on PC. The
way God intended.
It was, yeah, exactly. It was 4K,
frames a second.
1080, 1080s. I can't remember what processors were in the PCs.
Fast ones.
It was more Destiny 2. I got to play with the bow. I got to play with some of the new gear. The bow is really cool. They had an exotic bow equipped on the class that I was playing. I was playing as a Titan. I got to experience a new super. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play any of the other classes. It was like do this mission, multiplayer. No, it was single player. And then you could have played one of the 3 classes and one of the new supers, and I played as the Titan. I did not like the new super.
Oh, really?
No.
What was it?
No, it was, I don't know what they called it, but basically your class ability was you would jump up in the air and then like choose an area to ground pound, but you couldn't do it more than once. And then the actual super was like a big giant arching like Superman, where you would fly across the level, the stage area, and then pound into the ground and do a buttload of damage.
Interesting.
And I believe it like unleashed like a big energy like ball or wave. I didn't feel like I knew how to aim it properly, so I kind of flubbed it a couple times, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. It might be
like
really.
It's one of those things where,
yeah, it's one of those things.
If you get good at it, you'll probably just destroy.
Yeah.
But if you're not, you can really fuck it up.
It's one of those things exactly. I didn't know what I was doing, so I was like, kind of like, But it's more Destiny. It was pretty. The campaign seems all right, like they always do.
I need to.
I really like the bow. The bow was pretty cool. It was very effective.
I need to finish the story from the last expansion that they released.
It was very effective, I will say. I can't speak for all the little additions. They did have the different weapon system in there, but I didn't really understand what was going on with having the, like how they were, you can have a shotgun in every slot. I don't know if that was just depending on what loadout you had or if you had to do something special to do that.
Right.
Because I did not load a shotgun in every one of my slots because I'm not a huge shotgun fan in Destiny for whatever reason. Because I like shooting farther than 2 feet away from my face. Shotguns have no range in Destiny, so.
No, they do not.
But yeah, I will pick that up, of course. Because
I'm sure it'll come out and it'll be great and we'll all play it.
September 4th. Seems like it's going to be a sizable expansion comparable to Taken King, which is a good thing because the last 2 were kind of meh. And then it also is going to have another 3 expansions after that.
Right, okay.
I did not get to play the Gambit mode. It was on the show floor. They
didn't announce a Battle Royale mode, did they?
No.
Oh, okay.
I did have an appointment to see Black Ops and the Gambit mode, but I'm just like, I'm going to go see this instead. Other stuff came up. So Call of Duty was the exact same demo they had at the reveal. So I'm like, I can't speak to multiplayer. There is no campaign. So just, I ain't the Call of Duty guy. So
right.
Not in any like meaningful way. So I just like, that's where we went and saw Bloodstain. So, and I think I can do one more and then I'm going to save some more for next week.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Sounds all right.
I have like almost 30 games here, so.
Yeah, you played a lot of games.
I did play a lot of games, and I will talk about more of them next week, but I will end this week with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider on PC. It is very pretty. It's very dark, tone-wise, compared to the first game. It's
really?
Very dark story-wise. It's, I don't know what to say. It's got all the stuff the last one had. You've got the weapon. I didn't really get into the crafting system, but I was picking up stuff, which is obviously crafting materials. You've got the deciphering of murals and statues and monuments in the world that level up your different language or history knowledge of, whatever group or faction that you're going after in that game. You got the climbing, you got the puzzle solving, you got the interacting with the environment. They had us going through this little tomb, and then it ends with you trying to get away from this army of guys that are chasing you. I think there were some new like stealth mechanics that were in the demo that weren't in the first game. They kind of showed
the first 2 games.
Well, this is the second one, isn't it? No,
It's technically the third
that's
one
right.
in the new series.
You're right.
Because you didn't
That's right.
play the first one?
That's right.
Jackass.
Because I played the second one. I didn't play the first one because I just missed it. In the Xbox
so
press
confused.
conference,
Like,
did they? It is so confusing. There's so many Tomb Raiders, and it's been rebooted more than once, right?
yeah,
So it makes it even more confusing.
I know.
In the current Lara Croft video game-matic universe, this is the third game. But in the Microsoft press conference, did they show like the kind of Predator-esque where she was covered in the mud, clinging to the walls?
Yeah, they definitely touched on some of that
I did
stuff.
some of that skulking around in this, which was really cool. There was a section where it was stealth killing guys, like super badass. I don't remember that kind of exact vegetation wall hugging stealth in the other game.
Okay.
There's definitely stealth mechanics. Like,
there's lots of stealth mechanics.
But I don't remember you being able to hug the walls like that. So I think they added that. I believe they added that. That's why they kind of highlighted it. And I don't know. Apparently they said it was, I think they said it was 45 minutes into the game. That section.
Okay, so it's a little bit, yeah. That makes, okay, so you get at least a little bit of an idea of what's going on.
And I did mostly bow kills. I didn't pick up any guns because I didn't really need to because I stealth killed everyone in that section. I think I did it quite well, so. I did end up getting a gun at the very end that I picked up and used because I had to take out an armored guy. It's more Tomb Raider. That franchise is pretty dope. The new ones, awesome. At least.
I hope it, like, it's weird because, like, on one hand, I really like the first game, and I'm partway through the second game, which I really like still, but it felt very similar, I think, to the first game.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I hope is that they make enough changes in this third game so that it doesn't just feel like an extension of the second one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think...
Kind of like, as much as I enjoyed Destiny 2, I think that's why I fell off so hard with it, is it felt so similar to the first one that now I'm like, okay, I did like the story and stuff, and I did a bit of the end, and now I fell off like super hard, and I rarely play it anymore. Just because I think like it felt so similar to the original. Yeah,
it definitely felt very similar to the last one. So it's more of the same Tomb Raider. They've added a few new mechanics. And the story definitely does. Lara does seem a little more beaten down, and the story's a little darker.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, after all the shit she's already been through,
I can tell I will enjoy the game, but you know, the simple
like
gist of it is
coming out at a bad time.
The simple gist of it is it's more of the same. And yeah, that September release. Oh my God, September is so crowded.
Like, you got Spider-Man on the 7th, you got
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, like, the week before that, and then you got Shadow of the Tomb Raider the week after both of those. Like, that's
Dragon Quest 11 as well.
Yep.
I did not play that, but that's September as well.
Right. Code Vein, that's the end of September. There's probably some other stuff that I'm forgetting.
To be honest, though, I think it's a different enough game than the rest that it'll do fine.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, right now it's better that it probably comes
and it's not an exclusive this time around, so I believe it's coming out on everything, right?
Yeah.
So last time it was had the
1 year exclusivity.
Yeah, it had the exclusivity on the Xbox. So
yeah.
So I think it'll actually do better because it doesn't have that.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I think that's about it, Dane. I think we share this another at least 20 plus games that I played as well. So
yeah, you got some games.
As a quick rundown, here's what I played. So if you want to know my impressions, which I will get to over the next couple weeks, so I'll probably finish it off in the next 2 weeks. I played Kingdom Hearts 3, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Soul Calibur 6, Jump Force, Forza Horizon 4, Jurassic World Evolution, which is out now. That's the theme park, Jurassic World theme park builder. Yeah. Code Vein, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Smash Brothers Ultimate, Mario Tennis Aces. Not much to say about that besides
comes out in 2 days.
Yeah, it comes out on the day after this releases, so maybe I won't talk about it next week. But I played doubles in person, which was really fun. So as a local multiplayer game, sold. We had a blast. We were laughing and giggling like little kids. We had a riot playing it. It was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we played it with the PR girl Julie from Nintendo Canada and one of the booth attendees there. And man, it was fun. It was like a huge highlight of like our day 2 was that playing Mario Tennis with them. It was so much fun.
That's awesome.
We split the teams. We were supposed to be playing boys versus girls, but I guess the way the controllers were all mixed up, it turned out like I was playing with Julie and Joel was playing with the other girl. I don't remember her name. And it was quite rad. And yeah, me and Julie kicked butt.
Nice.
Well, we kicked butt, and then they like made a total comeback, tied the game, and then we beat them.
Oh, sweet.
It was so close. So that'll be out on Friday. I'm definitely gonna most likely pick that up. Okay, where are we at? Jurassic World, Code Vein, Bloodstained, Super Smash Bros., Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, Overcooked 2, Days Gone, Hitman 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, The Division 2, Skull and Crossbones, Starlink on Switch, and we had seen it on PS4 and Xbox. It was there, but we played it on Switch because I wanted to play with the Star Fox. And then I got Cyberpunk in here. I saw Cyberpunk. I never actually played that.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like hardware, I played with the Replicade arcade cabinets. They had a little booth there. I played with the NVIDIA BFGD
gaming
big
display.
format display. Spent some time with the Xbox Adaptive Controller, and then also got some hands-on with the Neo Geo Mini, which was pretty sweet. So, yeah, I look forward to me talking about those things in the next couple episodes.
Sweet.
Yeah, E3 was rad. I had a blast. Again, that was all Joel's doing. Without him letting me crash at his place, I probably wouldn't have gone, because to go by yourself and get a hotel is really expensive. It's one thing to pack a bunch of guys in a hotel room and split the cost, but when no one else can go because of whatever reason, it's kind of hard. I really wasn't going to go, and then he's like, "Oh, you can stay at my place." I'm like, "Okay, that changes things." And that was another thing I was chalking to Cheapy and him. He was complaining about how expensive the hotels were.
Yeah, I can imagine they're not cheap.
I did also experience Korean barbecue for the first time ever.
Wow.
That was pretty rad.
We have a Korean barbecue place.
I discovered that we have one here. We have one here. And I don't know how I wasn't aware of it. So I'm going to be going there one of these days. Because it was
quite nice.
Yeah, it was pretty rad. Actually, it was pretty cool because we were eating there and there was just a couple of people sitting across from us, a guy named Eddie and his girlfriend. And actually, I think he's listened to the podcast already because I told him about it. And I still haven't done it. I got to add him on Steam. He texted me his Steam account. And we just started talking. He's like a Game Boy modder. He was showing us his old Game Boy that he put his own backlight or front light in. And,
very cool.
His girlfriend also was into that as well. She had like one that was all modded with like light up buttons and stuff, which looked pretty cool. And we were talking about E3 and stuff. I can't remember if he said he went or not, or if he wanted to, but he couldn't. And he was local down there. That was pretty cool. Running in and chatting with him. But yeah, the restaurant was so good. And I've never done that before. That was sweet.
Fair enough. Very cool.
Yeah. Anyway, with that, Dane, I'm going to say we have a show. Episode 161.
The bits and the bytes.
Yeah, it's in the gigabits and the internets and your ear holes. You can follow me on Twitter at RickF, no K, RICF.
As always, you can come hang out with me on Twitter at Dane Cody. That's DAYNECODY.
And of course, you can like, subscribe, follow, whatever else you do. Geekoholics everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And of course, if you have an Apple device, we would greatly appreciate if you left us a review on iTunes or the Apple Podcast app, as reviews help the show propagate those lists and discovery engines and yada yada, and
all that fun
and
stuff.
Find more listeners.
Exactly.
And get us more downloads. And maybe one day we could quit our full-time jobs and just podcast. Oh wait,
that'd be pretty dope.
That probably won't ever happen, but hey, one can dare to dream.
Hey, look, man, we put it out into the universe, and you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, until next week, I'm going to say we're out.
Play lots of games.
Hell yeah. Peace.